Welcome back to Kevin 27 World Top 10 Edition. This show is Kevin 27, and today I'm taking a look back at the most emotional scenes from Phase 4. So grab a blanket and a box of tissues and let's dive into the scenes that tugged on the heartstrings of Marvel fans. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for similar content. Number 10. Loki seeing his death. Nothing can humble the god of mischief like seeing the end of his life the way the TVA showed him. We remember in Avengers Endgame when Loki stole the Tesseract and escaped during the Avengers time heist, but that wasn't a part of the TVA's plan, so he was arrested. Now Moby is showing Loki all of the messed up things he's done and what it led to. For example, sending the Dark Elves to Thor's room, but that led to his mom's death that he never knew about. The sad part really is Mobius telling Loki, you weren't born to rule and be king. You were born to cause pain, and that's what makes other people great. Also, no one wants to look at themselves dying. Remember, this Loki is from 2012 and he died 6 years later, so that's a lot of life he's lived, and knowing how it ends just has to be torture for anyone. Number 9. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Quill finds out he has a sister. The Guardians of the Galaxy special was definitely a fun time, especially when you have Drax and Mantis on Earth kidnapping Kevin Bacon right before Christmas. After everything goes according to plan and we get some good Christmas music, Quill wants to know why they went through all of this trouble just to bring the Winter Wonderland to space. When Mantis tells Quill about how Yondu messed up Christmas, Quill tells her the real story about Yondu making amends, and that's how he get his element blasters. If that doesn't get you emotional, she also tells Quill that Ego was her father while she sheds tears, and both are happy, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
He might be. He is. My father too.
Wait, so does that make you my sister? Mantis. That's the greatest Christmas gift I could ever get. Merry Christmas, Mantis.
Merry Christmas, Peter.
Number 8. Shang-Chi. Wen-Wu is hearing his dead wife's voice. This moment is sad just because if you've ever lost someone, you know how the mind plays tricks on you, and this moment displayed this well. Wen-Wu has been hearing his dead wife's voice, which brought the family back together for a quick reunion before they told him he was crazy and he locked them away. I mean, this leads to him taking his army to Talo and fighting his wife's village just to release her. The loss has this man deranged, and it's sad to see he will fight his own son and daughter just for a maybe. Unfortunately, he releases soul suckers and the ultimate soul sucker kills him, and that's just a bummer. At least he was able to give his son the rings before he passed on. Number 7. Moon Knight. Mark sacrifices his peace for Steven. We know Mark lived a life of chaos and finally got his peace in the field of reeds. Even though he had his peace, he was still filled with guilt, knowing his other half Steven was frozen in the sand of Duat, and he goes back and tells Steven how he's the real superhero, how he used him to forget all his trauma as a kid, and it's such an emotional scene. Makes you drop a tear or two, or 300. Let me mind you, Mark is in the sand about to be frozen himself. He doesn't give up and tells Steven he's the only real superpower he's ever had, and it brings them both back and they become whole.
Are the only real superpower I ever had. Stephen. You came back. What the hell's wrong with you? Well, I did a whole little speech there. It wasn't that little. You asshole. Right, look. The gates are open.
Definitely symbolizes the healing journey a lot of us need to go on with ourselves. Number 6, Black Widow. Natasha and Yelena are kidnapped by Dreykov. After Alexei, an undercover Russian spy, stole and downloaded intel from S.H.I.E.L.D. on how to control the human mind, the mission was complete and time to return home. Of course, things go left when the police show up and things get violent as Melina gets shot while trying to take off in the plane, which leads to a young Natasha having to take the wheel as she saves the family. Unfortunately, this leads to Natasha and Yelena being taken captive by the Red Room. It's even a part where young Natasha is screaming, "You can't take her, she's only 6." This is where Alexei talks her down, takes the gun, and both girls are put to sleep.
Everything's gonna be fine.
And if you weren't already sad enough, we get the opening credits where you see dozens of girls in pickup trucks terrified of the men they see, screaming, fighting, and running for their lives as we see Dreykov gaining more power and hanging with world leaders as we see these girls undergo these brain operations. I don't want to get too dark, but I feel it was a parallel with how young girls are sex trafficked, and that's what makes this scene heartbreaking because you know this is real life. Number 5, WandaVision. The origin of the hexagon after she can't bury Vision. Post Endgame, Wanda has lost everyone she loves. Her brother died, Vision died, Captain America ditched her to go have a dance with Peggy, and Hawkeye ditched her to be with his family, leaving Wanda more lonely than ever. This causes her to seek the comfort she needs by burying Vision, but she has a rude awakening when Detective Hayward tells her he's the government's property and she can't just bury $3 billion worth of vibranium. He did give her the consolation prize of seeing him one last time with his body ripped to pieces. The scene really gets emotional when she does the Mind Stone thing she did in Infinity War to destroy it, and she says, "I don't feel you anymore." And it breaks your heart because that scene was so romantic in Infinity War.
It's all right. You could never hurt me. I just feel you.
Now it's just crushing. And thinking of the life she could have had, she explodes and creates the life instead by enslaving the town of Westview in her sitcom torture bubble. Of course it was ruined by Agatha, but still a great scene nonetheless. Number 4, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Isaiah Bradley tells Sam about becoming a super soldier. Episode 5 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was titled Truth, and boy did they tell some truth in this episode. While the story of Isaiah Bradley getting tricked into getting super soldier serum might be fictional, we know it was inspired by the Tuskegee syphilis study, which was a study conducted between 1932 and 1972 by the United States Public Health Service and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on a group of nearly 400 African men with syphilis. The purpose of the study was to observe the effects of the disease when untreated, though by the end of the study, medical advances meant it was entirely treatable. The men were not informed of the nature of the experiment, and more than 100 died as a result. This same thing happened to Isaiah and his fellow black soldiers, and they thought it was a tetanus shot, but it was super soldier serum, and it killed everyone but Isaiah. So they tortured him and experimented on him for 30 years until a nurse felt so bad she wrote it up in the records that he was dead and gave him the notes from his wife that was previously held from him. You can see why he's bitter and even tells Sam nothing has changed even all these years later. Also says they'll never let a black man be Captain America, and if they did, no self-respecting black man would ever want to be. Yikes. Dagger through the heart. Definitely an emotional moment. Number 3, Thor stops fighting Gore to be with Jane. We knew Thor Love and Thunder would come with some comedy, considering how funny Ragnarok was, but this movie actually had a few emotional moments. This scene where Jane sacrificed her life to help Thor save the kids of New Asgard is one of those. She gives it all she has with one more blast from Mjolnir, which leads to her lying in her hospital gown and Gore one step away from eternity. And Thor stops him with this incredible speech about love, which was tugging on the heartstrings. Choose love, he tells Gore, and instead of killing all the gods, Gore brings back his daughter. Seeing Gore's daughter revive and Jane dying in the same scene would never not make me tear up, especially when she tells Thor to keep his heart open and fades away to Valhalla. Number 2. What if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? What if gave us a glimpse into the alternate realities of the Marvel multiverse, but one episode in particular left us with a sense of heartbreak and despair. In this episode, we see Doctor Strange battling an impossible quest to save his lost love, Christine Palmer. From reversing time to forging alliances with dangerous creatures, Doctor Strange left no stone unturned in his quest to save Christine, but no matter how hard he tried, the outcome was always the same. Christine died in a car crash. They even switched up the deaths, and she got shot once and even dropped dead while dancing. After the Ancient One splits the timeline in two, we see Doctor Strange in a barren wasteland, trying one last time to save Christine. This time, he spends centuries absorbing mythical creatures' powers until he realizes he has to fight the real Doctor Strange living in the same universe. He eventually defeats his other half and gets what he wants. The moment Christine died, he finally gets to have it back, but quickly realizes it was fool's gold as Christine is terrified of the monster he's become and the world is crumbling around him. Makes it even more sad when he realizes the mistake he made, but it was too late as everything fades to black and you see Steven holding Christine one last time, and her last words are, "Steven, what did you do?" As she fades away and Strange is left all alone, again as he begs and begs for forgiveness.
Christine. Oh no. I'm sorry.
Steven, what did you do?
No, 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 no. I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
Number 1. Wakanda Forever, T'Challa's passing. The opening to Wakanda Forever is the saddest scene ever from Marvel because of the real-life death of Chadwick Boseman parallel with the on-screen death of T'Challa. Seeing Shuri frantically pace around her science lab to find a way to restore the heart-shaped herb to bring her brother back is just heartbreaking to watch. She was willing to print out the synthetic herb when the confidence rate was only 29%. Shows the urgency of the situation and how truly desperate she was. Then Queen Ramonda walks in to deliver the news that he's passed on to the ancestors, and Shuri loses it. Even during the burial process, she's really the only person crying because everyone believes in the afterlife for her, so it just hits home. This leads to the funeral of T'Challa for Wakanda and Marvel fans, showing the last time they see their king, and we as the audience will see the Black Panther as we knew it. Shuri has one more breakdown before he's beamed up into the Wakandan aircrafts, and he gets one more Wakanda Forever salute before he's laid to rest. Then we get the opening Marvel title, which is completely silent, which was needed and appropriate in montages of Chadwick Boseman's greatest moments. And when I say opening night, the only thing you heard were the sniffles from the crying. That's why it's the most emotional scene of Phase 4. So there you have it, folks. The most emotional scenes of Phase 4. Let me know what other scenes made you emotional in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. Believe until you make believers.